Say yes to new beginnings.
Yes.
Say yes to new beginnings.
Yes.
Say yes to...
How does it feel to be the president of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, and what would you describe as your greatest accomplishment since your election?
Well, thank you very much. How does it feel? Well, naturally, it will look as if it feels good. Feels good in the sense that I sought for that opportunity.
Okay.
By the way, I was elected on the 25th of August,
Okay.
2023.
Okay.
I know that the reason why you chose April is because I was re-elected in April.
Okay.
And since the tenure is for 2 years, it's assumed that I was elected in April, but that's not what happened.
Okay.
I was elected in August with my colleagues, 17 of us in council.
Okay.
But because our act, the act establishing the institute, says that we should have our annual general meeting in April, on or before 31st of April. The council that I led in the last council decided voluntarily to lose 4 months, 5 months of its tenure, just for us to pull back to align with the content of our act. The option would have been to move it from August to April of the next year, which would have rather had us gain about 7 months. But we decided to forfeit 4-5 months just to keep to the content of our act. That's what happened. And then coming to how it feels, like I said, naturally it ought to feel good because you sought an office and you were elected, so you should feel good about it. But you see, the challenge of leadership sometimes could be very difficult to manage, and sometimes it becomes very tasking and almost overbearing. But I thank God that to some extent we have been able to weather the storm. The initial challenge we had was about the election. I had the misfortune, let me put it in that way, of contesting against my big sister, somebody who I respect so much, and we have mutual respect. So immediately after that election, it was as if there was a kind of very sour relationship. So my first task, and I want to start from there, my first task was to reconcile my supporters and her supporters, because this is a professional institute and one president has to be elected. The natural thing would have been to go on our differences, but because of maturity, we were able to close up immediately. And those who lost election came on board and became part of the strategic stakeholders of those who were elected into council. And I'm delighted to announce that as at today, all of us, 30 in number that contested, are together as one family. That's the first achievement. The reason why this is very important is because, in political contestations, sometimes we paint pictures as if opposition or opposing candidates are enemies. We are not enemies. It's just that each person feels that he or she has a perspective to doing what the other person wants to do. And at the end of the day, the voters will decide who they want. And at the end of the day, whoever they want must not think that the other one was not elected because that person was incompetent. It is just a matter of opportunity and circumstance. And therefore, what is expected is for all of us to close up and give to that organization the best of leadership that is available from everybody. So we became strategically inclusive in our approach, and that's what has helped us. So we are now one united family, working together and so on. Then the
I like
second
that.
thing, the
I
second thing
like
that
that.
we have done is to understand the definition, and I will write on that. In 1978, at the World Public Relations Assembly, the Assembly defined public relations. And I will give you the 6 to 7 principles that guided that definition, because that's what now helped us to define some of the things that we have put in place till today. First of all, the Mexico Statement, as we call it, said that public relations is both an art and a science. And you know, whatever is an art will have a lot of elements of humanities involved, sociocultural dynamics. If it's a science, then it requires research, analysis, and so on and so forth. So that is the first principle. Then the second principle is that it says that public relations is about analyzing trends, which means you need to analyze trends, analyze events, analyze the environment, analyze what is going on. Why do you have to analyze it? Because you are a scientist and you are an artist. So following the analysis, what do you do with the outcome of your analysis? You predict consequences. As a result of the art, as a result of the science, as a result of your analyzing the trends, you now predict consequences of what could happen if certain things are not put in place. And that's why they say that public relations practitioners are prophets, because they see ahead based on what they have analyzed, and then they predict that in the next so, this is what could happen to this organization. This is what could happen to this circumstance. So they analyze trends. And then what do they do with the consequence they have predicted? They now counsel the organization. They counsel the leaders. They counsel those who are in charge of these organizations to say, look, guys, if you don't do A, B, C, D, you will run into so, and so. So we advise that you take certain steps that will help. Having now given such indication, what next? You implement planned programs of action. And then you conclude with the last part of it, which is this must serve the interests of the organization and the public. So, and this is where I anchor, serving the interests of the organization and serving the interests of the public. So when we came in, we analyzed the trends, we looked at the issues, we predicted consequences, and we now began to develop plans of action that we are now implementing. First is that we discovered that we have serious issue with leadership in Nigeria. Leadership has been the crossbar to development in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Over the years, we have had the unfortunate experience of producing very poor leaders. And the reason is very simple. Our leaders are not strategically trained to take leadership. Some of us jump into leadership out of opportunity and circumstance. Our leaders do not have the sense of accountability. That's why the nation is the way it has been. 65 years after independence, in spite of the blessings of this nation, we have not been able to hold ourselves. So we saw that it's a problem. And then we now ask ourselves, what are the issues? We discovered that part of, not just the only one, but part of the missing link is the nexus between leadership and communication. If you like, call it leadership and public relations. And that's why somebody like James Jamiu will tell you, after he wrote speeches for 5 American presidents, he came back and said that The missing link in leadership is communication. John Maxwell, in the beginning of his profession, would tell you that everything rises and falls on leadership. But towards the exit of the mid-term of his career, he tweaked that concept to now say that effective communication is the greatest asset of a leader. And coming back to Nigeria, we have our own Ladi Thompson, who told us that everything rises and falls on strategic communication. We discovered that leaders don't carry their people along. You can build many mountains. You can build thousands of bridges. You can do all manner of things. If your communication is weak, if your communication is nothing to write home about, you will just discover that you are like somebody winking in the dark. So when we discovered that, we said, what should we do? What should be our planned program of action? We said we must develop a place where we can begin to train leaders so that when you train a child in the way the child would go, when the child grows, he will not depart from that way. So as we are building a university of public relations and leadership, which is the first in the world, and we are partnering with world-class communication outfits, including Global Alliance, and a number of others from 120 countries to site that university in Nigeria, precisely in Gudi, in Nasarawa State. That's number one. Number two, we discovered that the reputation of any organization, the reputation of any society, the reputation of any individual is the core asset. Nations go down because their reputation has become disastrous. The quantum of value attached to your reputation determines the level of respect that you earn as an individual, as an organization, and even as a country. We discovered that for a very long time, the reputation gate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has been unmanned. Everybody could do what he wants to do, write what he wants to write, say what he wants to say about Nigeria. Yet, as difficult as our nation has been, it is not the worst nation on earth, because we've had the opportunity of traveling around the world. At least I have gone to about 46 countries, and I have engaged at top levels, and I know that they are not better than Nigeria. This is one of the most blessed nations on earth. But the issue is that we have left our reputation enjoy a free fall, and then people help us to bury it. So the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations rose to say thus far no further. We created the Nigeria Reputation Management Group, chaired by a gentleman, Chief Yomi Badejo Okusonia, with the best of brains in communication and public relations who are working with him. And then we just recently inaugurated a body of advisors chaired by Dr. John Reputation Momo, who is the chairman of that group, again with other people that are working with him. We are doing this because we are saying that we don't have to leave everything in the hands of government. Citizens at a time must rise up to take responsibility and to show how it can be done. And we are doing that with the Nigeria Reputation Management Group.
Interesting.
And then number three, Nigeria in 2026 will be hosting the World Public Relations Forum, which is like the World Cup of public relations. Practitioners from 126 countries will be landing in Abuja for 1 week to discuss public relations. Thought leaders, the best in the industry from all over the world, will be coming here. This is a monumental achievement in 2 years of our administration.
I like that.
Because we want to use that opportunity to reinvent the reputation of Nigeria. And guess what? Before I land, in Mombasa, just 2 days ago, when we 2 weeks ago, sorry, when we went to celebrate the 50th anniversary of African Public Relations Association, Nigeria again won the bid to host the 38th African Public Relations Conference here in Abuja. So we are hosting the continent, we are hosting the world. The same time, the same place, the same date, the same message that Nigeria is the best country on earth. If you have not checked it, come and check it.